Okay. First of all, thank you so much for joining us, Nirav, on a weekend evening, taking out time and speaking with your Scalar community, with your, the Scalar family. Thank you so much for doing that. For everybody who's joining us right now, or everybody who's listening to this session, Nirav is a Scalar mentor. He has been with us for a very long time. We have personally met at a number of places. So Nirav and I, we have personally met at a bunch of events. The last hackathon that we did in Bangalore, the physical hackathon, Nirav was there as one of the mentors. Uh, Luckily, Nirav and we have offices near to each other. So many times, even when when we do not have an event planned, we do casually catch up. And Nirav is always full of multiple ideas on how we can improve Scalar and how we can do things better at Scalar. To give you guys a quick intro, Nirav is a alumni of the Ahmedabad University and has been working with HP for a while now. As I just got to know, Nirav, this is his last week in HP, and Nirav would be joining PayPal on the 22nd of June, right?
Yes, correct.
So Nirav, could you give us an overview? So I understand since you are from Rajkot, your early schooling and everything would have been from Rajkot, right? Did you also go to college in
Not
Rajkot?
pretty much. No, not pretty much from Rajkot. I am from a middle class family where father is a government working professional. So in government of Gujarat, there is a rule like every 5 year there would be a transfer. So
Okay.
my birth was in Rajkot.
Mhm.
After that, my early schooling was in Jamnagar, one of the other town in Gujarat. Then again, we my father just sacrificed his life, and he went to some other city for his job, and we were again settled back in Rajkot so that we can have a stable schooling at one place once I reached 7th or 8th grade. So after that, till my 12th grade, I was in Rajkot. And
Mhm.
after that, I decided to move out of Rajkot and went to Ahmedabad for in School of Engineering and Applied Science, Ahmedabad University, and pursued
Got it.
BTech in Information and Communication Technology. I think in 2014 to 18.
Mhm.
So May 2018 was when I passed out from engineering, and since then I am a working professional.
So, not a lot of us have insights on how colleges and how senior education is in Gujarat. All of us know the food. All of us understand, the the integrities of the flavors in the culture. But when it comes to schooling in colleges, how different is Gujarat compared to the rest of India?
What I believe in Gujarat, uh, actually, this is completely my personal opinion, and it can vary from people to people. So, what I personally believe is Gujarat is uh, more dense toward businesses, and the education level, if you see in Gujarat and in rest of the India, then most of it is diverted towards businesses, and
Okay.
less number of people are interested in service based industries or product based industries like doing jobs.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, if we consider that, then we have very good few colleges in Gujarat for in computer field. Education level, overall education level, we do have that, but what I especially felt was mugging up things was one of the things which was been expected since our childhood. Like if we study
Hmm.
in the state boards, right, and if you do not write answers line to line, then there would be reduction in marks. No one would see the concepts, are the concepts correct or not. But
Hmm.
so that was one thing, that was really one thing which was very painful to me, because I was one of the kid who cannot sit in front of a book and can read it for 10 times or 12 times till that I get mug up line to line. So I was always an average, 80 percentage kid, not the one who would be topping the class or like that. But I would appreciate the college I was in, because it was some new initiative, and my batch was the third batch of the college.
Okay.
So it was pretty much new college, and the main concept they came up with was project based learning. So
Hmm.
project based learning, so where in every semester 70% of your marks would come from the curriculum like academics and everything, and 30% would be some implementation of projects, like you
Okay.
need to implement in most of the subject you need to implement, though it be economics, which is one of the compulsory subject by UGC, or it is
Hmm.
environmental studies, or it is a C programming subject. So
Correct.
that was the thing when I just developed my logical thinking abilities and developing abilities. So yeah,
Correct.
college played a very important role, and now Gujarat is also moving towards that type of education. So
Hmm.
that is
Hmm.
pretty much helpful for the future generation.
So, one curious question after you just shared this. So, for example, like you mentioned that most of the families in Gujarat, or most of the culture in Gujarat, is more towards business orientation or more towards
Yes,
entrepreneurship, right?
yes.
So, what got you interested in following engineering and building a career as an engineer?
Yeah. So the first computer I got was when I was in standard sixth.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah. So after that, like at that time, Cricket 2007 was one of the very famous game which I used to play, and then I used to do some stuff in Word, PowerPoint, and I was like pretty much attracted to computers. And at that time, I was thinking like. Playing games and doing such type of stuff, doing copy paste of things from pen drives to computers and changing of data is what computer engineering is.
Hmm.
And from them, that time only I used to open up my CPUs, and I used to clean the RAM and that stuff. So that was the thing I thought, like computer repairing and all that thing would be taught in this computer engineering
Computer
class.
engineering, right?
Yes.
How to engineer a
So
computer.
yeah, so that was the pretty much first idea when I thought like, yes, I am really interested in this and I can pursue a career. So in
Hmm.
early seventh standard, I decided like since then everyone would be asking you as like how what you want to be in childhood, right? Then you would be saying doctor, engineer, or something like that. So since then I was like, yeah, I want to be a computer engineer. And then in standard 8 my knowledge increased, like one of my computer faculty at school, Vishal sir, one of my very first mentor in this journey towards computers, right?
Mhm.
So he was one guy who came up with this project's idea, and he told that he divided class into groups of 6 people and told that you need to take up one technology in computer field and give a presentation to the whole class. And
Mhm.
our team, I think, selected Wi-Fi, and at that time that was the first technology I dive dipped into, and then thought, okay, it's not just playing games, scoring 320 runs in 10 over in cricket 2007. And then I moved to 10th class when we were introduced to C programming.
Mhm.
So the first program I wrote after Hello World was checking if the number is odd or even.
Okay.
So at that time, like it took me around, I would say one computer lab time was around 1 hour. And to write a C program to check if a number is odd or even took me 1 hour. So
Wow.
yeah, that
And right now,
and
probably it would take you 5 minutes.
not even
Maybe
5 minutes if you
yeah, even
use Python. So after that, few of the assignments and last task I did was developing a calculator. And during that time there was no code editor, and we used that visual C,
right,
complete blue screen with white fonts. And
right.
so yeah, after that, for 2 years in 11th and 12th grade, I was not much connected with computers, as most of us says, right, if you want to go in good college, then you need to concentrate on studies in
Yeah.
those 2 years. And then pretty much the college time,
Physics, chemistry, maths.
yeah, physics was one of the toughest subject for me.
For me, it was chemistry. I really, really, I could never wrap my head around chemistry somehow, but I think we lived through it. Awesome. So, you went to college and you started doing your computer engineering, right? So,
Yes.
uh, how was college experience? How different was it from whatever you had imagined or what you had thought you would do in college?
Yeah. So First 2 years were like, so what we know is like, everyone says us like, whenever you are in college, you do not need to study that much what you have studied in 11th or 12th grade. So first 2 years I was like, pretty much in enjoying mood, and I didn't know what to do. And except academics, I don't even remember what extra things I have done in that first 2 years. After that, in the second, when I was in second year, my our college first batch was in fourth year, and the placement season started. And I still remember that they had an online test of Amazon in hacker rank, and none of them were able to clear that online test. So I was pretty much curious, like, if all other people can do, then why people from our college cannot do, and we are implementing such a good projects. Then also, why are we not able to crack the interviews for Amazon? And at that time, one of my senior told, like, there is something called as competitive coding. And At that time I was introduced to that buzzword competitive coding in the very late of the second year. So I just went and Google searched that what is competitive coding, and after that I came to know, oh, there is something completely different vertical than what we do study at our college. So data structure and algorithm, how to use them and how to implement various algorithms using those data structures, which are pretty much faster than what we have studied. So after that I started exploring competitive coding, and I was pretty much into it for next 1 year. I also went for SEM ICPC regionals in my third year. And though we were not one of the best in India, but we were the best in our college during that time. Like, our team was the topmost in college till that date. Then our placement season came, and that was pretty much of it, I think.
So awesome. I think that is something that a lot of people can resonate with. Like how this entire college journey is. A lot of us have had somewhat similar or somewhat with a
So
few variations.
most of my college task I used to do was in festival committee. Like, I was part of my cultural and festival committee, and I enjoyed that
Okay.
a lot. So
What
till
did you used
third
to do?
year, till third year, most of the contributions in cultural events, and we were having some music night or some parties, right? I was there for to organize that things. So I was pretty much into that, and I would say that has really helped me a lot in shaping what I am today. Because there as our college was pretty new, right? The budgets you had to organize such type of cultural events are not those huge budget as you
Yep.
get in IITs, or you get the sponsorship in IITs. So you need to calculate each and every penny you use, and you have the responsibility to deliver the result. So once so that actually that responsibility helped me to shape myself. Like, if in companies we do have our
Hmm.
responsibilities, like, once
Hmm.
the project or task is given to us, then we
Hmm.
have to deliver. It can
Right.
be like we need to work sometimes 18 hours a day or 12 hours a day. That matters actually on us. So, and how we need to reach that that path we need to find. So that thing has really helped me. I do have a few of the incidents, like, in this cultural and festival committees. Some of them were the bitter ones, but most of the other ones were pretty good.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. And definitely, I think just to add on to that, like I think most of the successful people that we look at are people who are able to build relations, are able to communicate with people, not just with their friends, but the people that they're working with, right? I
Yes.
think that is a quality that most people overlook at, and I think that is something that we would want to focus on today. We would want to talk more about today. We have a lot of the students and young software developers with us across YouTube and LinkedIn, and what we're going to focus today on is more about in the emotional intelligence or the emotional quotient and the relationship building at workspace. In general, the theme for the today that we were thinking of, we were just discussing about what we want to focus on is more on the EQ, more on the emotional side of work, more in empathy, more on relationship building. Many times when we join an organization, all we think about is our hardcore skills. I know how to code, I know how to write code, and that should be more than enough, right? And many times when we look at people, when we think about, okay, I am able to do this work, and the other person is also able to do this work, uh, why is the other person getting more of a push compared to me? And more often than not, it's around team, it's around relations, right? Would you like to weigh into that, Nirav? What
Yeah.
do you think about this?
So, what I have like 2 years of industry experience till that, and what I have felt is like most of the people industry hires are able to do their job. Like
Hmm.
some might take 2 days and some might take 3 days, but at the end of the day, most of the people are capable of doing the job. So the EQ part is really important, and it is a kind of a soft skill which everyone needs to develop. Like, so EQ is not just like understanding yourself. Like let me give you one example. Like if you are feeling if something has happened at your home and you are not feeling good, then it is not a good thing that you go to office and you just give that to your junior, or you just what we say, you just do not behave the right way in the office. So
Yep.
understanding yourself and controlling your emotion is one of the very much important thing. Like your behavior should not depend on your mood actually.
Hmm.
That is really important. And the other thing which is very much important is the empathy aspect of the EQ, that is emotional intelligence or emotional quotient. So I am not sure like how many of the people would have been in contact with Abhimanyu, otherwise they would be knowing what empathy is. And most of our discussion would start with empathy and having an empathy journal. So empathy is like how you understand the other people, like putting in someone else's shoe, right? So there are many things using which you can show the empathy. Like some of your colleagues are not feeling well, or they are in not a good mood, then show you some of the body languages. So there are some body languages or body shine that you would able to see, and from that you can just ask them that why are they feeling that, why are they not feeling good. So building that this is a part of a social skill, like how can you socialize at work. So I have seen like companies like Google and Facebook, they would be conducting this such type of session, like how can you socialize in companies or in teams. So most of the big companies or MNCs nowadays are focusing more on this behavioral skills than in technical skills. So in my HP career, I had been to two or three such EQ trainings, right? Emotional intelligence training, where they teach you like how can you control. How can you be a how can you be a good listener, how can you control your mood, and how to when you are angry or when you are not feeling well, how to answer others. Like whenever you are not angry, the first thought would always be a negative one. Like if I am angry and Saurabh is coming and asking me for a help, then I would say no, I won't help you or something like that. But taking a pause to answer Saurabh, like thinking for
Yep.
5 or 10 seconds would always help. So what I have learned from some of my seniors, right? We know that most some of our communications over emails sometimes heat up. So what I have learned is never reply when you are in an angry mood. Just shut down your laptop, grab a tea or coffee, have a break for 10-15 minutes, or just have a water, and then think with a peace of mind, and then try to reply. So
Yeah.
everyone's caliber is not same, is what we need to understand. And we just need to think the way other might would be thinking. So if I think the way I am thinking, and I do not understand how Saurav is trying to think, then it is not one of the best thing. But if I think how Saurav or how other one is feeling, and how he would be thinking, and how he would be asking this thing to me, then I would really try to help him or her out of that situation, and that would help you build this relationship. And I would like to say one thing here, like before for the students who are not yet in this industry, right? Before you have entered this industry, you would feel that there are thousands of company in this field, but once you enter, right, you would see that this industry is very short, and someday or the other day your paths are going to be crossing. So it's always good to have a good relationship with all the people around you. And it's not like you are a senior to some person and you cannot say hi to him, or if he is not saying hi, then you won't be calling him. All that things are really important, and that is what emotional intelligence would be for me. Like if I summarize it in few words, right, then it is self awareness. Like how aware you are about yourself. Then once you are aware, being aware is not just enough. You need to regulate that emotion. So self regulation is one other, after that one point. Then it is like if your mood is angry, or you are feeling lazy or something like that, then motivation is the key. Like how can you motivate yourself? Like someone can motivate themselves after playing a FIFA match on PS4, or someone can hear some kind of music and they can motivate themselves. So you need to find ways how can you motivate yourself. So that is also very important thing. Then there is for others, like yes, empathy is one of the thing. Like how grateful you are to the things which you had got, and how can you empathize for others. So empathy is one of the key. And the last one is your social skills. Like having 10,000 or 5,000 friends in Facebook is not your skill. But out of them, if you see someone in front of you, then how well you can communicate, and how well you can understand that person, and how well you are in resolving his or her conflict, is one of the social skill. That so being a mentor, if I give you an example, right, how well a mentee is open to me is one of the social skill that would say that yeah, I have a good social skill. If he is able to communicate his ideas to me, or his frustration or feeling to me openly, then yeah, I can say like, yeah, I do have some good social skills. So this all things are like everyone would have some different benchmarks. There is nothing like right or wrong in this field, but the more you practice it, the more you would be better in it.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. And I think that is a lot of things that that we just discussed over this last 5-10 minutes. I probably want to cover a few of those. Just again, so for
Sure.
example, even when we talk about a lot of the students talk to us about negotiations and interviews, and many times when a student is going through an interview, he also reaches out, or she also reaches out to us about negotiations. One key thing that we always tell our students is be nice, be humble, be polite. You know,
Yes.
it's okay if an interview
Yes.
did not go your way. Maybe you were expecting XYZ amount and the company is not paying you XYZ amount, or they did not meet your expectation. Be polite even when you're turning them down. Tell them, ki, I really enjoyed this interaction. I really enjoyed talking to you guys. I really wish I could join. Unfortunately, I'm really hoping for something different, and because of that I cannot continue. Because many times what happens is that if that interaction is impolite, what like you just pointed out, Nirav, you might cross paths with these people again. You know? Let's
Yes.
say today I'm interviewing with you for HP, and tomorrow I'm interviewing with you for PayPal, and
Yes.
which very well can happen. Like
Yes.
you are in HP right now. There would be a lot of people would have interviewed for HP, whom you might again end up interviewing for PayPal.
Yes.
And unfortunately, if I remember you being impolite or being rude or being unrespectful, that is definitely going to have some or the other impact. It is also probable that before even talking to you, I've already made up my reservation because of our previous conversation, right? So in general, the industry is very small. The world actually is very small. You keep bumping into people and you say, "Oh, such a small world." It's very important to make sure that we build relations as we go. We don't sever them. I think that is the whole idea of community based learning or community driven learning, where people
Yes, correct.
are building more and more relations. Right, a lot of people, when they talk about Skill Academy and when they say ki it's just another DSL Go program, right? Uh, it's not. There's a lot of other things. There's a lot of soft skill building. There's a lot of community driven initiatives. Uh, how many students are you currently connected with, Nirav?
So six.
Six students is what is
Yes.
whom you are mentoring. And how has your experience been mentoring these younger kids?
So yeah, pretty much I can relate them to what I was in my college time. Like they are very very afraid of what they are doing, and they are pretty much nervous. They like I still remember the first session with few of my mentees. Right, I literally had to force them, like, you can speak now. I just need. I It was like completely a one-way conversation. Like I need to ask questions, and they were just like afraid of giving answers, and they were not ready to speak up with the complete confidence. So I pretty much feel that most of the people who are not exposed to such type of things, right, they are really afraid, like, and they do have lack of confidence. I'm not saying I was one who was fully confident when I was during my college time. I might be one of them, but that thing is really important. Like when you are showcasing yourself to someone else, right, you need to be confident. And if you know that you know something, then why should you be afraid of someone else? Like I might be good at one skills, but you or someone else might be good at some other skills, and everyone do have a job for that skill. So that was one experience which I do feel with most of my mentees. Like out of the six mentees, I still remember, uh, except one or two mentees, most of them were very shy and introvert kind of stuff, introvert kind of people during my first few sessions. But as the time passed, and we had few discussions over WhatsApp and over call, and few sessions, then they were on track. And after that, they started sharing their personal life and some of the problems they were really facing, which they thought were help I would be helpful there by giving them examples and what I have faced during my college time. So I always share one experience with all of my mentees. Like during the placement season, most of the technical guys, or the people who are in college right now, would know that TCS conduct a test called as Code Vita. And if you are in top 1500 or 2000 coders in that test, then they would be giving you an interview at their campus, and based on that they would decide if they would be giving job or not. So in my college time, in fourth year, I was like, I just appeared for that Code Vita contest, and I was ranked around 1700 or 1800, and I was being called for TCS interview. And like I still remember, I gave interview at 6:30 p.m. and I was there at TCS campus since 10 in the morning, and the interview lasts for only 15 minutes. And after that, they told that you can go home, and the rejection was reason for rejection was like, you do not have the coding skills which TCS requires. So that was one of the most demotivating situation for me in my life. Like the company who is hiring in bulk, and do not see any of the branch, like they do hire from any of the colleges and any of the branch. They are saying like, I do not have the coding skills which they need. Yeah, after that, due to this, I decided to move on to Gate. I started preparing for Gate. And there I was more focused to my goal. Like I just decided that I would have a job in PSUs, like some companies like ONGC or Power Grid or something like that. So I started preparing for Gate, and again Amazon came for internship opportunity at our college. And uh, that is again a very very much up and down for me in Amazon interviews. And at the end, I landed to Amazon as an intern in 8th semester as an SDET intern. Yeah.
Cool. So I think one of the key things that that these mentees look for when they look at mentor is also guidance with respect to how to look for a job or how to search for a job.
Yes.
One question that we also have here from Roshan is, hi Nirav sir, I want to know how you come to know about vacancy. I'm a web designer. I'm not satisfied from my job and I'm seeking for good job, right? So, in general, what is your approach, or what do you suggest to people who are looking for jobs? What do you suggest to people who are searching for opportunities? What should be their approach?
Yeah. So what particularly what I follow is like I before applying to job, right? I would just practice my skills. Like if you do not practice it for 3 4 months, right, it would just get rusted, and you need to remove that rust. So for a month or 2 months, I just focus on practicing on my skills, and try to give interviews, as many interviews as possible. Like I have been working in HP since last 2 years, but I do remember, like in this 2 years, I would have given interviews in any of the startups or any of the companies, or to some of my friends. Like every 2 months, I would have faced some interviews. So I would say that was very much that was very much helpful to me. Like uh, that was helpful because I was knowing like which all skills are required in industry nowadays, and what all things I need to focus on. What does the interviewer ask? So that was one thing. The other thing was like I take some of the interviews of some of my friends and mentees at Scalar. So that would also help me prepare for some of the questions, because if you are asking a question in interview and you do not know the answer of that, then that is not the best thing you can do. So that was one thing, and that was the pre processing part of it. Like before applying for a job, what would you do? And post that, I use some of the platforms like LinkedIn, then angel.com, there is Topire. So these three are the major platform which I used for grabbing jobs. So you can there are many online platform like Naukri.com, Hirist, Indeed. So all my job search are from most of these online platforms. And sometimes based on your LinkedIn profiles and GitHub profiles, right, the recruiter would also try to contact you. So I would suggest one thing, like try to update your GitHub profile and LinkedIn profile as frequent as possible. Like if you have a one new achievement, just don't be lazy to update that LinkedIn profile, because updating one skill or one achievement at a time is easy, but when that pile ups, right, and the pile is growing bigger, then you would always feel like I would do once I achieve something new. So don't be lazy in keeping your profile ready, because I would say LinkedIn is something like Bhagavad Gita for us. So just preserving that LinkedIn profile is pretty much important, and you need to open to opportunities. And you don't need to say like it is a startup, or it is only a 50 people company, so I won't go there. I would like to give my example, right? I was an SDET intern at Amazon in Chennai. So I had been there for 3 months, and for my role I didn't enjoy, actually. Like I felt like I was not the person who can do automation of testing, or some of the things which estate engineer does. And so I decided to move on. Like I didn't even completed my internship at Amazon, and I thought and one of my senior was at HP, and he helped me referring at the company. And he helped me throughout the process, and I just landed a job at HP. And there was a PPO offer kind of thing, like Amazon would convert me to full time after the internship is completed based on my performance. So I took a pay reduction, if you say like CTC reduction of around 30 to 40%, because I was more interested in doing quality work, and I was not interested in the brand name of the company at that time, because I thought the first few years in my career is when I can learn most of the stuff. So yeah, sometimes this type of bold decisions are required. Like if you do not need to run behind the brand name or behind the money itself. You need to focus on the goal which you have set for the long term. and you just need to divide it in short term goals, and you need to achieve that short term goal one after another, and then that would create a path for your success to your long term goal. Yeah, Saurabh.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that covers a lot of things together. I would probably just touch that again once more. So definitely, I think you need to make sure you are a software developer. If you're looking for a software development related role, you are expected to be online. You are expected to be working on platforms. You are expected to be updated on GitHub, LinkedIn, and anywhere and everywhere where you should be. If you are a designer, you should be updated on Behance. You should be updated on Dribble.
Yes.
If you are a programmer, you should have a Kaggle profile. You should have a LinkedIn GitHub profile and everything. And the more places you have where people can find you, the more you are opening yourself to opportunities.
Yeah. So
And then,
visibilities are more.
yeah, and your visibility increases. Exactly. And in response, if, for example, if you want to go out and look for more opportunities, it gets better and easier with platforms where you can, like, for example, I am Jobs is one, Indeed is one, Naukri is one. LinkedIn itself has a lot of jobs. You can apply to jobs via LinkedIn itself, right? A lot of these features come in handy.
Yes.
And I think what you just said in the last, don't be choosy when you are looking for jobs, right? If I'm looking for a job, my main focus is always impact. Like
Yes.
Nirav also said, quality work. You work in an organization and you have created a good amount of impact, no matter whether it is a startup or whether it is a Google. The next organization is going to focus on your work, right?
Yes.
Uh, Being from Amazon, Google is just one step. It just makes sure that people reach out to you. If your LinkedIn profile says Amazon, you might get a few more calls than mine if mine doesn't say Amazon, right?
Yes.
But
Correct.
once we start having those conversations, then we start talking about your work. What exactly did you do in that organization? What was your day-to-day job? How much actual code have you written? How much work have you done? How many designs have you created? How many products have you built? Right. And the smaller organization you are in, the more impact you can create, the more you can learn. Right. One instance that I want to quickly share here is that, for example, Scalar Academy happened just about a year and 2 months ago. Before that, we were interview bit, and we were interview bit for 2000 from 2015 till even right now. Even interview bit still exists and is going strong. We are above 1 million users right now, and pretty good there. One of the engineers at InterviewBit, when he completed 1 year, and we usually do a small anniversary celebration where they have to come up and talk about their experience. He very proudly said that from my college, my peers were selected in Amazon and Google, and even I got the opportunity. He's from Triple IT Hyderabad, and I was very sure that I want to come here. And in after completing 1 year here, I'm more and more confident. I'm more and more happy because even right now, when I talk to my peers, I know I have learned a lot more than them because of the kind of work that we do in such a small organization. We have a 20 member tech team right now, maybe 35, right? Back then it was less than 20. The amount of work every person was doing is a lot, and that is what builds you as an engineer. That is what helps you learn more and more. Moving on. So I think moving on to the next point. I think a lot of times when you are talking to your mentees, you would also see that they are stuck somewhere, right? Like, for
Yes.
example, they're trying to solve a particular challenge for a while and they have not been able to solve it. One such similar question comes from Sham, which is, should we revise important problems, tricky concepts in program? If so, how have you revised? So, for example, let's say if there is something that you know that this is very important, how do you go about revising it? How do you go about making sure that you have a very, very strong grasp on it?
Yeah. So one thing is very very much important is like making your hands dirty. So you won't learn except you implement. So seeing a video lecture on YouTube, or let's say even on Scalar, if you see the lecture, right, then just seeing that lecture is not enough. You just need to dirty your hands, like you need to implement, though you can implement in C or Python or any of the language you are familiar with. So
Yeah.
implementation is always a key. That is one this is one mantra I always use in front of my mentees, like implementation is the key. If you don't implement, then you don't learn. Like giving I have read some of the experiences in Gigs for Gigs. Like people would say, like just filter out the questions with Amazon tag and mug it up, and you would land up a job at Amazon. But landing up a job at Amazon is not the first is not the success you want to achieve.
Yeah.
You want to have a growth path where you want to be a SD2 in next 2 years, or
Yeah.
SD3 in upcoming 5 years, right? So mugging up the concepts or mugging up the things won't help. So there are many online platforms, including InterviewBit and HackerRank, HackerEarth, CodeChef, SPOJ, where you can always practice problems. InterviewBit is quite good. If you see it, it has divided the problems in buckets. Similarly, if I used to practice this HackerRank 30 days interview preparation kit, which includes most of the questions from all the type of buckets. So every time you are preparing for a job interview, right, try to delete that previous code you have written, or try to delete that submission you have previously submitted. Just focus on that problem again and try to solve it again. Like
Yeah.
I do remember, like, problem which I have done a year ago, I don't remember any of the things. I would be knowing the concept, how would I have done that, but I would have forgotten the edge cases or the corner cases, and I would have to again struggle it for the first few weeks. So always finding out problems from easy level to medium level is what is required every time to prepare for interview. Like, start with the easy problems. If you directly jump on the hard or difficult problems, then it would be demotivating for you, and once you are demotivated, it's very difficult for a human mind to
Get back.
digest that and start preparing again from the
Yeah.
easy problem. So just in the starting, just try to build the confidence. And let's say if you are very focused, right, that I want to join a fang company, fang any of the fang company, then in that preparation phase, as I mentioned, right, try to give interviews, as many interviews as possible. Like, there are many online sites, including interviewing.io, prem, where you can practice online interviews. Like, you can take interviews, you can give interviews. So practicing interviews would improve your confidence level, and once you have that confidence, right, you can easily achieve that easy or medium or difficult level of questions.
Right.
And what I always suggest to my mentees, and I also do follow that, is like time bounding is very important thing. Like, whenever you are in your learning phase, and you are stick to a problem for 2 days, or 3 hours or 4 hours, or even sometimes a day, sometimes few days, then that thing is not really helpful while preparing for interview. But if you are preparing for some type of SEM, ICPC, or coding contest, then that is fine. But whenever you are preparing for interviews, you need to time bound yourself, like 2 hours a problem and not more than 2 hours. If you are not able to solve that in 2 hours, just bookmark that problem, uh, put it aside for a week, and try to again attempt it after a week. And if you are still not able to solve, then try to do Google search, or try to take help from your friends or your mentors, who can guide you, like how to up, how to approach that problem. So that really helps. So time bounding is one of the most important thing, because interview rounds do not are not more than 1 hour, and in 1 hour people would expect you to solve at least two problems in some of the good companies. So that is 30 minutes the problem. And if you are not practicing the time bound factor, right, it would be really difficult for you in the interviews. So
Right.
it depends on how you are practicing. So in the initial phase, time bound is very, very much important. Don't stick on to problems, and just move on.
Got it. Here's a question. I don't know how much of it can you answer,
Sure.
because a lot of our work that we do is not open to public. So, Tikam Chand Mandan wants to ask, which team are you currently working at HP, and what exactly do you do? Which technologies are you using, and what do you work on frequently?
Yeah, so there is a company called as Aruba Networks. which was acquired by Hewlett Packard Enterprise in 2015. Aruba Networks is mostly in networking domain, and I am part of that Aruba Networks org. And the main product which I am working on is product or team which I'm working on is network management solution. So a cloud-based network management solution. So what network management solution is like, you can manage your networks with routers and switches using one centralized place, and you don't need to be a network engineer or an computer network guy who knows most of the thing, but it's very easy to use interface. And like, let me give you one example. Like, you all might have faced that problem of changing passwords for your router and setting the SSID name. So that thing you would have to ping to the console of your router and then change it. Now think of some organization uh, or buildings which have like hundreds of routers and many switches to connect that router, right? Then you won't able to connect to each and every switch or each and every router using console and change the SSID password. So there the network management solution works. And that I am part of that team, and the major technologies which I have been exposed to here at Aruba is our main tech stack is in Python. We use Flask as our framework, and databases like Redis, Postgres, Cassandra, and Elasticsearch. And yes, pretty much of that.
Got it.
I hope it is like a high level answer for this question.
I think yeah, that covers a lot of it. Okay, I think we have one of our Scalar students also is here, Ronak Agarwal. He has a question that I'm sure that you would have also come across from your mentees. How to balance work and Scalar? And I think by Scalar we mean any program that you're doing on the side. A lot of
Yes.
when quarantine and work from home started, a lot of us picked up online courses. I myself picked up a lot of courses, right? And sometimes uh, since work from home has started, there's also a lot of work, that because you are cooking, you are cleaning, you are doing, and your routine is also kind of screwed. How do you manage everything, and how should one balance their work and their studies and everything?
Yeah. So one suggestion I always give to my mentees, I would again repeat that, is like, what I used to do is like, I used to have cycle in my college time, and I used to travel using cycle. So what I used to do is like, I used to read a problem before leaving from my hostel, and when I'm traveling, I would think of that problem, like how would I solve that problem. So while cycling, my unconscious mind would be one who would be driving my cycle, and my conscious mind would be thinking of that problem. And when I reach college, and when I have some idea of that problem, I would just implement it. Similarly, everyone knows like most of the people won't be attending lectures very seriously. So in lectures also, I used to take a printout or have a read out a problem and think of that problem, and whenever I have some solution, I try to implement. Similarly, you can do such things like, if you are cooking right now, right, you can just read out a problem and try to think of that problem, and your unconscious mind would be doing the things you are doing. You are cooking or you are cleaning anything, and your conscious mind would be thinking of the solution. So that would help you reduce the time when you read out the problem, right? That is one thing. And I was one of the person who loved to study in the morning time. So when I was preparing for gate, or when I was preparing for interviews, right, I was the one who would be waking up at 5 or 6, or and when everyone is sleeping, I would study for 2 3 hours, and after that I would the complete day would be very positive for me, because in the morning, if you have completed some of your tasks and achieved some of your things, right, then you would always feel positive, like, yes, I have done something, rather than done nothing. Like, if most of the people are night owls, and while sleeping they would say the day was waste, like, I have not completed any of the things. But for me it was completely opposite. So I would suggest, like, try to just reschedule your schedule, and try to do it in some time frame. Like, morning hours are always helpful, because your mind is fresh, is what I believe. And there is least amount of what we say, noise pollution outside. So it would help you concentrate and focus more. Again, it is a personal opinion that helped me, but it might not help everyone else. So just try to experiment with your schedule, right? How can you be more productive? Someone might I have seen people who get pretty cool ideas when they are bathing. So again, that is one helpful thing. So try to experiment with your brain, try to experiment with your schedule, and you would find a way. Just observe and be open to all the things which you see. Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. I think that was also helpful for me because even right now, I think many times I have also taken up a few courses on various websites. I have not been able to give time, and I think a lot of what you said also suggests what are things that I can do. I've already started one of those things. So, for example, every single thing that I can get in an audiobook, I've started listening to audiobooks. Like, for example, there's always some time that you spend in the bed before going to sleep and some time after you wake up. Like every single day, I spend a lot of time after waking up and before getting out of the bed. I have this daily routine in which I'm just lying in bed and thinking about getting up. So what I do is when my hand reaches out to get the phone, I immediately put on an audiobook, and then whatever time I'm just lying in the bed, I'm listening to that audiobook, and I do the same thing at night.
Yes,
Uh,
correct.
I think a lot of what you just said makes a lot of sense. Awesome. Moving on to the next question, we have this question by Vijayshri. Vijayshri is asking, he's a second year computer science student, and from his perspective, if he wants to start preparing to get a job in a good company, what is better? Is doing projects better or is programming better? I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of overlap in both of them because programming
Yes,
is a
correct.
part of doing projects, but still, if you would like to take this.
Yeah. So doing programming is important to crack the interviews, uh, for sure. And like if you consider all of the companies, they would be asking your data structure algorithm skills, and they are really really important to crack the interviews.
Yeah.
And why doing project is important is like it would help you develop what you have it would help you develop the skills of like implementing like what you have studied in data structure algorithm course. You can implement that efficiently. That is one thing. The other thing is like if it is a team project, then you would be a team you would learn some of the skills how to communicate in teams. And I have seen, or I have rather asked questions like on team building, like how have you managed the conflicts in your project group. So such type of questions to appear in interview. So doing projects is like really important in all the developing all the soft skills, as well as doing implementation of what you have learned as a part of programming. And one more thing, like you would hear in industry, is like writing maintainable code is much more important than writing complex code. So when you implement more projects, right, you would start learning how to implement maintainable codes, because you won't be forever in that company to maintain that code. There would be someone else who would be maintaining your code or editing your code. So how easily they can understand your code is really really important. So when you are doing that group project, try to have a habit of writing a maintainable and easy to understandable code, like using proper structures, using proper functions, using proper name of functions and variables. They are really really important things in interview too. Like if you are focusing on any problem solution, then if you are not using proper names of variable and functions, then that is not a good sign. Though you are able to solve that problem, but that is not one of the best sign that you are giving to the interviewers. So projects are really helpful in developing all such skills.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Thank you so much for walking us through that. Uh, I think one of the questions, one of the things that we were talking about earlier was empathy and how EQ is a very important part of a job, right?
Yeah.
Yash here has a question that I'm not very social at work, but I do not particularly lack empathy, right? And if, for example, at work, if people do misunderstand me, how should I go about handling that situation?
So misunderstanding is always part of less under communication or less communication. So what I have particularly learned is like over communication is always better than under communication. Like if you are able to communicate your idea completely well, with writing two more sentences in email, or just describing yourself in depth, then that really helps. Like just open up with your friends or colleagues or your manager. So that is really really helpful. Like as I told, like over communication is always helpful than under communication, and under communication leads to misunderstanding. So if you want to avoid that thing, then try to communicate yourself better than what you do today.
Correct. And how would you suggest somebody gets started with that? Like, let's say, for example, if somebody is not communicating enough today, the reason is not ideally that I do not like to communicate. It's just that many times subconsciously the kind of communication that I'm doing is enough from my perspective, right?
Yes, correct.
However, many times when we come across these conversations that I had already informed him, I had already told her, I had already had this conversation, right? Maybe because from our perspective, we have already done that. So,
Yes.
how should somebody go into that habit building where they start building a habit of over communication?
Yeah, so just think of like you are explaining something to a very lame person who doesn't know any of the things, or who doesn't know you. Like if you are communicating some personal problems, or you are describing some of the solution, or you are just describing a design document, just think of writing it in a format where a lame person, if he reads out that email or that wiki of that design, right, he would able to understand most of the stuff without asking you even a single question. If you try to practice that way, right, in that way, then that would really help. Like once you write that mail or that wiki, always have a habit to read it the second time before doing a send button, clicking the send button. Or if you are communicating face to face, right, just take a pause of 2 or 3 seconds and think like, would it be okay if I use this sentence, or is there a better way in which I can describe myself, or is there a better thing which I can tell to the other person so that he can understand me better. Like just try to accept the thing, like people doesn't know you, and you are explaining most of the stuff to the people who is very unknown to you, so that you would able to communicate it in a better way.
Awesome. I hope Yash that could answer your question. If you have follow up questions, do let us know. That is a very interesting topic that we do want to talk more and more about. Coming back to the most interesting questions that people always have, they're always about algorithms. They're always about career and jobs and things like those, right? Now, we have a small question from Vasu. Vasu wants to know, where did you start with algorithm preparation, and how does a novice get started with algorithms?
Yeah. So first thing I started with was with the I think every computer engineer or IT engineer would have that course of data structure and algorithm in their third or second or third sem of engineering. So that was the first point where I started learning data structure and algorithms. Like, and after that, as I already mentioned in this session, right, I was not aware about this competitive coding, or applying these algorithms and data structure to make the code efficient and have a lesser time complexity or space complexity. So the very next platform which I used after this data structure algorithm course was like hacker rank. So I like into early 2015 I started with hacker rank, and in mid 2015 interview bit came, and in last few semesters I started my coding career with interview bit. Like started practicing questions in interview bit, and I used to practice in code chef, I used to practice in spoj. We had a group of few people at our college, and I was very lucky to have a very good community or people around me. So I'm very very lucky to find those people who are very very motivating, and who would be discussing this type of problems, or who would be pushing you to solve this type of problems. So what I see, the major thing which is important is community, because once you are stuck, then and not solving a problem for 3 days or 5 days is always a demotivating thing of for any of the people. So community is very very important, like how well your community is. And there is one thing or one experiment which some scientists have done, is like you are average of 5 people around you. So try to build up a community. If it is not present at your college, or if it is not present at your workplace, then try to take initiatives, because that also helps you a lot. Like taking initiative is also one skills which would be required in your company or in your organization. So try to take that initiative and motivate people to do this algorithm preparation and form a group of coders. So IITs also, people do learn the same thing in classes, but they do have the community and they do have the exposure to the people where their seniors or where their alumni are very very much active with their coding clubs, and they do help in help people understand how they can approach to a problem. So yes, community is one of the thing which is really really important. And Vashu, you can also try, if there is no community, you can try building that, or you can be a part of some community.
Uh, right. I think that I would just like to, probably add one more thing to the one point that you mentioned, that you are the average of people that you are surrounded with. That is something that most of us have seen in our life. It has a very huge impact on us. Uh, People who want to have better habits uh, tend to surround themselves with people who have better habits. Uh, the fittest that I have been in my life is when I was surrounded by people who wanted to be fit, who would
Yes, correct.
want to go cycling, who would want to go a gym, who would want to follow a diet. And then seeing them would also motivate me. And I think that is something that all of us need to make sure of. If we are surrounded by people who complain about everything, we are also eventually we start going to complain
Yes.
about everything. If we are surrounded by people who are very grateful, who are very happy, who are always looking at the brighter side of things, that's eventually how we are also going to behave. Thank you for covering that. We have one from Harshita Iyengar. I'm a computer science engineer and working professional. I'm from the automotive company, and what if I want to change my domain to payments or something else? How should I go about it? Domain switch. I think this is another common question that people do come up with when they are starting their career. Let's say I started as a data science at Volvo, or I started as a backend engineer at Mercedes or Bosch. How do I? Is it even possible for me to go to mainstream Amazon?
Yeah. So what I would say is domain is one thing that is important, of course, but what do come with you is your experience and your knowledge, the basic skills. Like let's say if you know C programming and the concepts of programming, right, then learning a new language won't be difficult. So always a good programmer or a good computer engineer is not stick to one of the computer language or one of the technologies. He would be very clear with his basics. So if you are very clear with your basics, right, changing a domain is not a difficult thing, is what I believe. So always try to brush up your skills. Like if you are in a data scientist role or data analyst role, then try to brush up your skills of data structural algorithms, or some other operating systems or something like that, which would help you in your future job. One more thing which is very 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 important in changing your domain would be your experience in that domain. Like if your experience is pretty much or well, let's say your experience is very very high in one domain, like number of years are 15 or 20, then there are chances like you can always change your domain. But after that it becomes a little more difficult. But changing a domain in your early career, it's not that difficult. Like I would say, like I had an internship as an estate at Amazon, and I am a software developer right now in HPE. So changing a domain with a very small experience of 2 years or 5 years is not that difficult. Like you need to brush up your basic skills. Basic skills are always the one which is asked in the interviews. Um, till some level, but after that there would be some skills like your experience and system design and all that skills you can always learn. while you are in particular domain, and you can always apply for the other jobs in other domain.
I think a lot of that should have been able to help you, Harshita. If that was not helpful, or if you have any follow up questions, do drop your comments. We'll answer those as well. Uh, One of the questions that we have from Amish is something that a lot of mentees feel. Let's say I started a program, or let's say I started preparing today, and 3 months, it's been 2 months, or it's been 3 months, and I've been preparing, I can't see any results. How do I keep pushing myself? How do I ensure that I'm still giving in time every day to make sure that, this, to make sure that uh, I don't lack or I don't slack, right? Many people feel like it's already been 2 months, it's already been 3 months. How do we keep going?
Yeah. So, being a part of Scalar, the first example that is in my mind is like 1 raised to 1.01, like 365 days improving yourself by 1%. So, that is like your career is not a 15 days or 20 days or 3 month of what you want to do. It is like a 20-year or 30-year long journey which you have to travel, right? So, what I told is like just just have a long term goal, like let's say you have a long term goal of landing a job at Apple. Like after 3 years or 5 years I want a job at Apple, then just try to follow the path, like how can you get a job at Apple. So always the journey is never small, right? And nothing is nothing the things which you have done is nothing is not fruitful, is not possible. Like if you are learning a new skill today, it might be useful after 5 years or let's say 10 years, but if you think of a short term results, then you won't able to motivate yourself, because short term achievements, when you achieve, they would you would feel very happy. But in the longer term, if you just stay on that short term achievements, then that is not the best thing you should follow. So I would say, like, do not concentrate more on your short term achievements. Just think of your long term achievements, and think if the thing you are doing today is fruitful for your long term achievement. And if it is not fruitful, then think of the path, or think of the direction in which you can move forward, then move forward so that it is helpful and it is fruitful. And one more thing, in this, I would like to give example, like a few of my mentees who are doing non tech job today, right? One of my mentees just doing a data entry job, like he need to do some of the stuff in Excel and all that stuff. So he always asks me, right, is this experience fruitful for me if I want to pursue my career in the software engineering domain? So I always tell him, like, you won't be having the technical skills, but you would learn organizational behavior, as well as you will learn the soft skills which are required to be a good software developer. So I always suggest people, like, whatever job you do, you should continue with that job before you have something else in your hand. So most of the things you do are always fruitful in some or the other way. So that is one thing you need to keep in mind, and just focus on the long term goals for making that short term things fruitful.
Makes a lot of sense. I think one of the questions that we were answering earlier around moving from one domain to the other, we have a similar question from Roshan here. Uh,
Yeah.
he's currently a mechanical engineer, and he wants to move to a web designing domain, or he wants to move to a engineering domain. Uh, I think this is the last question that we also have for the day. So maybe we can, answer this, and then we can close after this.
Okay. So I would like to give one of the example of my friend, right? He joined IIT Hyderabad as an BSc in physics, and after the first year completed, you have an option in IIT. Like if you top the IIT, right? If you top your branch, then you have an option to change the domain and change the branch. So after that, he moved to computer engineering in IIT Hyderabad, and after that he was like one of the best programmers I have seen. Uh, in my friends group, and today he is at Carnegie Mellon Institute and doing his data scientist research and all that stuff. So changing domain, and you are in the first year, so you have 3 more years to learn the stuff, right? So what I would suggest, like, you have many online resources. If your college is not supporting you to change your field, right, you have many online resources and many stuff online which you can follow, and you can just try to implement your website. Let's say you create your own portfolio of your resume, and you try to learn that thing. Then you have some freelancing platforms like Code Mentor, freelancer.com, where you can bid for a project and showcase your work. And once you are showing your work, right, you would able to learn more and more things. So just I would say, try to follow one resource. Don't go behind resources. Like, if you do a Google search for website development or web designing, you would find thousands of resources. But focusing yourself on one resource, like if you are selecting Udacity or Udemy or Code Academy or anything, then just stick on to that website and try to complete that course. Like, there are many websites like Coursera, edX, Udemy, Udacity, which would help you with getting the knowledge of web designing. But one thing is, you need to be focused, right? If you have selected a course in Udacity, then you need to be stick to it, and you need to complete it, and you need to implement stuff. You need to dirty your hands. And once you start dirtying your hands, and once you have completed that thing, then you can run behind different resources. But multiplying your focus in different resources is always a bad experience, and you would stop doing the things. So I would say, like, focus on one resource and try to implement things that would help you learn that, and try to pick up freelancing projects. And one of like one, I would like to give one example. Like, one of my mentees really interested in data analytics, so I always tell him, like, right now you have a very good opportunity to do data analytics on COVID data. So similarly, you can think of some real world scenarios which are currently going in your surroundings. Like, how can you make your life easier if you do this? Like a to-do list, if you create a to-do list, then it would help you to manage your task. So trying to implement such type of projects, if you do not get freelancing projects, then that would help you in doing that web designing and uh, learning that career path.
Got it. Got it. Thank you so much for the detailed answer, Nirav. We have one more question that maybe we can take up from
Yeah.
Grishma. Uh, it's a two-part question. I would probably walk everybody through it. So, Grishma is in her last semester of her CS engineering. She has an offer with a good role in support, and she wants to understand how to restart coding. She has left programming. I believe what was her last internship, maybe sometime last year, and since then she has not been able to give it time. So how does she get started, or how does she get back to coding or development?
Like, you would we all have lab exercises in our college. Like, let's say I was having a Java course in the college, then there were few lab exercises which were given to me by my professor. And if you think of that, then you can just bring on all the content or all the material which you have studied in your college, and start from scratch from there, because you are really familiar to that all exercises. And once you have started the implementation, just take up a problem like designing a parking lot or designing a pizza studio. And you would get many such problem statement in if you search Google, right? Like, and you just start implementing the stuff. Like, what is the thing is, like, you can start with what you have already done. Like, start with your lab exercises and all that. Start with revising your data structure algorithm skills, and brushing up your concepts of programming, like basic syntax. Pick up one language, pick up this just brush up your skills of syntax, and just start implementing the things, because as I already told, right, implementation is the key.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for all the answers, Nirav, and thank you for patiently answering so many questions that our users had. Uh, One last question from my side.
Sure.
This is more of a closing question. Anyone who's looking to anybody who's younger, or anybody who is building a career, may it be in software development, may it be in other field, what would be your advice to them? What would be your closing statement to them as to these are the things to watch out for if you want to build a strong career?
Yeah. So first thing is like uh, passion is very much important, but similarly purpose is very if you see, passion and purpose go parallelly. Like if you are passionate about one thing but you do not have any purpose in that, like I am very passionate to be a computer programmer, or I'm very much passionate to be a cricketer, but if there is no purpose behind that, right, then there is no meaning of that. So purpose is really really important with the passion. Like if you have a passion which do not lead, or which do not earn you a good food or a good dwelling, then there is no purpose behind that doing that. So passion and purpose goes parallelly, so you need to focus on both the things, like both passion and purpose. That is one thing. And what one another thing, like with no there is a very good saying, like with knowledge comes the power. But if that power leads to attitude or arrogance, then that is a very 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 dreadful situation for you. I would like to give a very very live example, like uh, Ansuman Singh. Like most of the people know him, and I first time I had a conversation with him, and I was like completely out of my mind. Like how can a person be so ground to earth after achieving so much of the things? So you need to deliver to the society. Like if I have some skill, then you need to pass on to your next generation, so that they do not do the same mistakes which you have done. Because
Right.
many of the things you have done, you might have learned it a hard way. Like you might have fallen down, and there was no one who picked you up, and you might have find ways, and you tried different ways, and went in each way, and then decided like, yes, this is the correct path. So passing on the knowledge is really really important, because keeping the knowledge in your mind is never a helpful thing. And I uh, I would say, like, yes, practicing all those basic things are really really important. Like being a better human or good human is the first key to your success. Like if you are a good programmer but not a good human, then there is a end somewhere. But if you are a good programmer, and again you are a good human, then you can fly, uh, and sky is the limit.
Awesome. Thank you so much for such kind words, Nirav. Thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday evening. I hope everybody who was with us in the session, you guys found it fruitful. I hope you guys enjoyed talking to us. For any further questions, for any further follow ups, or anything that you want, please keep posting your questions in the comment section. The live session is getting over now. We would keep answering your questions via comments. So if you have any questions regarding your career advice, regarding how to getting started with coding, regarding Scalar Academy, interview bit, anything in general, please drop us a comment on these posts and we will respond to them. Once again, thank you so much, Nirav. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing all of this wisdom with us. And
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be the mentor. Upskill.
anytime, anytime. So thank you so much, and everybody have a great weekend. Have a great Sunday. Nirav, you as well have a great weekend. Have a great Sunday. Just stay safe. Do not go out. COVID is not over. No matter what you think, COVID is still
Yeah.
out there. Please stay safe. Please
Lockdown is
manage
over,
social
COVID
distance.
is not over.
Yes,
Correct.
lockdown is over. COVID is still there. Let's stay safe. Let's stay indoors. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank